up? What up? What up? What up? How's everybody doing? Yeah, it's Friday. It's Friday, yo. I'm sorry, guys. Got a little busy. Sorry for the late start. Shout out to the wonderful, beautiful Kim Jones, my significant other, the person who makes all this possible. She's actually in the background today. She just got home from a long vacation, long trip. Had to pack up some things and move it down south. And I just had to unload a damn U-Haul. All you guys saying I'm out of shape, I unloaded that thing in like 30 minutes because I'm a beast. And then we had to go turn it in and run a bunch of errands. You guys don't care. You guys want to talk sports. Let's talk sports. So remember, Fridays, the show is the Mountain West, and it's the independent schools. And if you don't know the independent schools, that's Notre Dame, that's UConn, that's UMass, okay? I'm going to talk about all these schools at length. We can go a little long today, so you guys can ask all the questions you want. Tonight we have PFL fights, probably high school football. Shout out to GPB Sports here in Georgia. You can watch yourself a high-quality game. All you got to do is go to gpb.org. That is Golf Papa Bravo, gpb.org, and you can watch a hell of a football game out here in Georgia. Some of the best teams. Last week we saw Buford and Milton. We were on the live stream. If you get to the Discord server, you get to the stage if you're an MVP. I will give you live bets tonight, and you'll make a ton of money watching PFL because I know fighting. That's what I do. Shout out to all the MVPs. I did post the fight video last night. I think I stopped working around midnight. I posted a video for the fight night tomorrow. That's right. We're going to be watching fights, and then when we're done, we can see what Hawaii wants to do in their destruction. Excuse me, my whole face is itching. I'm having it, bro. I'm having a moment here. All right. So nonetheless, pretty exciting stuff. If you're on the Patreon, yes, I posted the picks. Yes, I posted 2 videos today, one like 30 minutes long, the other one another 20 minutes, and I went in depth on the matchups for this weekend, at least 2 of them that really matter to me and should matter to you. Gave out props, parlays, picks, the whole 9. MVPs, thank you so much. Please keep being great. We are going to do a live stream tomorrow morning, 09, MVPs only. Make sure you're there. Everybody else on the Discord server, calm down. I'm not answering all of your individual questions. I get a shit ton of them all day long. People saying all the win total videos are up. Yeah, we know. All right, so let's talk about sports. If you're watching Twitter, you see this wide receiver. His name is Amari Huggins. Amari Huggins Bruce. And he's leaving South Carolina, and he's enrolling at Louisville. Now, this would be no big deal. It's a late transfer. But in case you weren't aware, Amari Huggins Bruce was at Louisville last year. And he transferred to South Carolina. And now Louisville gets an injury in their wide receiver room. Colin Lacey breaks his collarbone. Say he's out 6 to 8 weeks. I think he'll be out longer. Little guy, beast of a dude. And now, I'm not saying there's tampering going on, but there's tampering going on. The young man's not in the transfer portal. He's been at practice. But he probably found out he's not good. He's not better than Jared Brown. He's not better than Gage Larvadain. And I'd imagine Louisville's paying. They're paying this man, and he's going back. And congratulations, Louisville. I already didn't like the way you operate. I already didn't like the way you're carrying yourself this offseason. And you do this shit. I'm not mad at the player, bro. Look, the least consistent thing in this world is a young man. Ask any girl trying to date one. I know what I was like when I was 20, bro. I talked to this girl on the way. I'd drop her off. I remember I had a really hot date. Dropped her off, and took my ass right back to the bar I was just at because I saw a fine-ass girl sitting in there with her friend. That's right, I'm on a date with one girl, took her home, dropped her off, went back to the bar because I saw a girl at the bar, and we made it happen. I'm not mad at South Carolina. I'm not mad at Louisville. I'm not mad at Amari Huggins Bruce. It's the nature of the beast, bro. It's life. Nobody dedicated to each other out here. Ain't nobody dedicated to each other. This is all garbage. I'm dedicated. Hey, for the next 3 to 4 years, I'm going to this school. No, you're not. You liar. They write on Twitter, locked in, recruitment closed. Where is home at? Anytime I see that post on Twitter and they go, where is home at? First thing I always write back. I always write to them and say, wherever you get your mail, bro. Home is wherever you get your mail. Stop asking people where is home at. Like you're just fighting for attention. You're just dying for attention. I should just make posts every day and be like, where my MVPs at? Holler at me. These dudes just want to see the fan bases get all excited. Bro, you don't give a shit about your school's fan base? Not if you go to practice and don't win the starting job. Then you jump in the portal. And not a single tweet about where's my home at. All the fucking hat switching. You guys see them nerds with all the hats? Those are nerds, bro. Those are athletic nerds. Rocking all the different hats, throwing one away, and then stripping off their jacket. And dad's in an overalls, and mom's got the shirt under her jacket. You show up to a fucking commitment party with a turtleneck on. The only thing worse than that is gender reveal parties. Don't get me started on gender reveal party. If you guys are a part of that movement, whoever started that shit, bro. I was talking to my pops the other day, and he was like, hey, I saw a sonogram picture, and I think it was a dude. I think I saw a nutsack. You know, I think it was a male. That's an inexact science. When your dad's breaking down sonogram photos, that man can't see, bro. That man can't see. Nonetheless, Amari Huggins Bruce, I hope you don't see the field. Just out of karma, bro. Just out of karma. Leaving your teammates hanging, going to South Carolina, pretending like you wanted to be there, and then you bounce. I think it's distasteful to your teammates, but I understand if the bag comes calling. Let's talk about the bag for a second. The proverbial bag. Look at this shit. Mac Brown, this old grumpy dude right here. If you didn't know, maybe you kids don't know, Mac Brown is one of the very few coaches in America with a national title to his name. A national title to his name. Him and Kirby Smart, the only two I can think of in college football that have won a national title. Oh, Dabo. 3 guys. There is no other head coach in college football with a national title championship. 3 dudes. And that guy got one in 2004 with Vince Young. You ain't got to be a great coach to win with Vince Young. And the names on that defense will blow you away. I promise you. But anyways, we know he's been paying players since the beginning of time. And you get to North Carolina, you've been getting 5 stars, you're evaluating them, you're getting the wrong ones. Let's be real, you're getting the wrong ones. Nothing's really coming together, but you're getting the wrong ones. I understand you got Drake May. You got Howell. You got players. But I've seen 5 stars like Silver, defensive tackle, transfer to Kentucky instead. I think Dre Bly's back. Or is he on another? No, Dre Bly's at Charlotte. That's crazy. That's a whole nother story. But I'm looking at this, and he comes out with this story, and he says, Omarion Hampton got 4 times more NIL money. He got offered 4 times NIL money to leave North Carolina. So a story like this is meant to vilify another college, another school. That's what this is. It is meant to vilify another school. I just have one question. How many coaches took new jobs this offseason because they got offered more money? And we all understand the coach can't turn it down. He's got to feed his family. Coaching is a get fired or get hired profession. You're in a position, you're either there so long, you get hired or you get fired. There are very few people who retire. There are very few people who go out the way they wanted. The 99.9% of coaches are either going to get hired by somebody else or fired where they're at. That's the life of a coach. That's the life of a coach. And we understand that, so when they get offered bigger contracts, nobody says anything. Nobody gets mad. If you're at Arizona making $6 million and you hear you get a $9 million raise, or you get a raise to $9 million, you get a $3 million raise, nobody blames you. Oh, you had to go, coach? Coach don't give a shit. He ain't doing no kumbayas. He ain't talking to you. I'm sorry, man. I really wanted to stay. No, all the broken promises, he's got to go. And everybody understands that. And guys, it's not just head coaches. It's position coaches and coordinators and ADs and associate ADs, player personnel and recruiting and all kinds of shit, bro. There's a hierarchy of all of it. And everybody's doing musical chairs and going to whoever the highest bidder is. But the minute the players go to the highest bidder, they're vilified. And not just the players, but the school that offered them is vilified. The university is ridiculed for poaching the player. You poached the player. You're an evil empire. So who's poaching players from North Carolina? It can only be a bigger, more popular school than North Carolina. And we know Clemson's not offering players. We know Virginia Tech didn't need a running back. So who's out there trying to get a running back? Florida State? Alabama? Georgia? What are we doing? Why are we vilifying colleges for offering more money to these players? Like, I swear to you, I'll never understand this frame of mind. We're going to try to paint them bad because they offered my player more money. We know you're all tampering. Come on, man. Max Brown hits the transfer portal. You think North Carolina was on Max Brown's short list? He and his brother? Max Johnson, excuse me. A&M. How'd you get Elijah Huzzy? Dude's just complaining. This is a filthy millionaire. How long has Mac Brown been making money? How long has Mac Brown been making millions of dollars? Longer than these kids have been alive. He's been making millions of dollars longer than they've been alive, and he's complaining that they get an offer to make more money. And no one wants to attack the player, so we'll just attack the university. Well, that's cool. So where were all you guys when the Power Four was raiding Boise State? When Dirk Cutter was the head coach at Boise State and Arizona State took him because they offered him more money. Did you say Arizona State, you snakes? And then they replaced him with Dan Hawkins. And Dan Hawkins starts winning at Boise State. And then Colorado steals him. You snake. Then Chris Peterson goes to Boise, goes undefeated. Whatever he does, beats Oklahoma, all this stuff. And then Washington takes him from Boise. Where's all the negative press about Arizona State, Colorado, Washington raiding the Boise State coaching staff? And then after Peterson was Harsin. Brian Harsin goes out there, coaches at Boise, starts winning, and Auburn steals him. Nobody's mad. It's his lucky day. There's no negative press about it. The Power Four have been raiding the Group of Five for a generation. They've been doing it with coaches for a generation. For as long as I can remember, and I'm 40-something years old, bro. And now, you got the Power Four taking players, just like they did coaches, and now we got a problem. Now we want to argue and fight. Now we want to complain. What a double standard. And you have somebody like Mike Gundy get in front of a mic and tell the players, stop asking for money. It's time to focus on football. And the world shares that narrative like it's like, oh, he's got some truth to say. Yeah, that's the truth. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. Hey, they got to go out and earn it now. The time for asking for money is over now. Stop asking for NIL increases. It's time to play now. What? $8 million a year, Mike Gundy? You get to dictate when people can't ask for more money? Oh my goodness. This is a business. The sooner the coaches stop giving input on people's paychecks, the better off you'll be. That's why the NFL is such a great model. The coaches are told to shut up and dribble, bro. You coach. You don't get to talk about contracts. You don't get to talk. No, the GM deals with that. Do your job and coach. But in college football, these old bastards who've been making multi-millions of dollars for the last 20, 40, 30 years, whatever it is, they're losing grip. They're losing control. And they don't know how to handle it. They don't know how to deal with it. It's them dudes, man. They're used to telling their wife, you're staying home tonight. Get in that kitchen. Get into that bedroom. You're not leaving the house. And she's about tired of it. It's been 20 years of marriage. She wants to go out, bro. She wants a girls' night out. These dudes are losing their grip. They make me sick, bro. Buffalo quarterback C.J. Ogbonna named the starter. First and foremost, their former starter was Cole Snyder. He transferred to one of the directional Michigans. I believe it was Central Michigan. No. Western Michigan? Where's C.J.? Or where's Cole Snyder at? He's not at Miami of Ohio. He's not at Ohio. Cole Snyder's in the MAC somewhere. What's wrong with me? Dude, this is crazy. Not at Central? Western? Central? Might be at Central. I'm tripping. He's probably at Central replacing Jace Bauer. All right. So, doesn't matter. What this says to me, and what this should say to you guys, is Buffalo Bulls no longer have a quarterback. They have C.J. Ogbonna at quarterback. Cole's at Ohio. Thank you, R.J. Hatt. C.J. Ogbonna at quarterback. That's it. That's just what it is. He's a running back, bro. He can't throw. If you want to watch C.J. Ogbonna, so you might look at his stats and be like, yeah, he could throw. No, he has some stats back in 2021 when he was in the FCS. He was okay. Still barely 50% completion percentage. He's a dual threat guy. He can run around. He's athletic, right? Go watch the Bowling Green game last year. Just go turn it on and watch it. Just watch it. I'm telling you, he sucks. And now he's your starter? Whoo. You dude, it's a transfer portal. You could have hit the transfer portal and got some guys. You could have found some quarterback out there is looking for a chance to start. Especially that dude, Eckes. What's his name? I'm sorry. Zevi? It's getting to me. What's the school? Washington State. Can I spell today? Dude, I can't even type right now. My forearms are blown from lifting things. It's all good. Here we go. Zevi Eckes. Zevi Eckes is a hell of a football player, a hell of a quarterback, and he's on the bench. It's his final year. He transferred to Washington State. This kid was already there, regionally there. He was at Bryant. That's in New York. He was at Bryant, and all he had to do was go to Buffalo and be their starting quarterback, and he would have been a legend and a hero. But what are we doing? He thought he could play in the Pac-12. He's for a California kid? I don't care. He can't play in the Pac-12 or at Washington State. He's on the bench now. Could have been your starting quarterback. You would have been great. Coulda, shoulda, woulda. Just like Anderson did when he left the transfer portal last year. Went from Bryant to Buffalo, and he played great. Joel Anderson, the linebacker. But you got Ogbonna. He's just bad. He's bad. I'm letting you know. There's Max Johnson. He's going to share time with Connor Harrell. I think I talked about this during the podcast, the ACC podcast on Monday. I told you guys I felt that Max Johnson, I was more excited about Connor Harrell, the third-string quarterback. Well, it turns out he's going to be splitting time at starter. That's what I was excited about, Connor Harrell. Congratulations. Looks good. He's always looked good. Alex Broom, done for the year. What a shame. Alex Broom, done for the year. What a shame. Decent running back. But they got a running back room at Boston College that's probably okay. I hope McDonald gets some playing time. McDonald, he's a transfer from UCF, and he played high school ball at Milton, and I really liked him then. He's a powerful running back. He's been in college 3 years, never seen the field because they keep going to these major schools, and he doesn't understand. You're not good enough to get on the field. Go somewhere that needs it. Go to Western Illinois. Western Carolina. Go to ECU. They need you bad. Instead, you're going from UCF to Boston College bench. Hopefully this injury pays off for them. And that's what I'm saying. Some people get mad at me. Some people get mad when I say, a particular injury is leading to a chance for somebody else. I'm not celebrating injury. I'm just saying. Somebody gets hurt. Somebody's lucky day out there to see the field. You ever been a backup? And you're sitting there being like, man, I just wish that guy would get hurt so I can get on the field. I know it sounds crazy. I know it doesn't sound right. But what do you think every backup quarterback in the world is saying right now? Except for Clipboard Jesus. Except for Charlie Whitehurst, who never wanted to get in the game. Except for a few dudes who never wanted to get in the game. By the way, Kirk Francis, Tulsa quarterback. Named starting quarterback. This one is good for me, man. This one feels good. I predicted this. If you watch or you pay attention to my page on Twitter, I talked about this back in May. There was a quarterback named Cooper Lagasse. Good quarterback out of Utah State. Cooper Lagasse said he was going to transfer from Utah State to Tulsa, and I did not like it. And I was very clear. I said, these lateral transfers don't move me much. I didn't like Cooper Lagasse going to Tulsa. And the reason is I think he's a good quarterback, decent quarterback, but I didn't think he was better than Kirk Francis. Nope. Kirk Francis is a freshman who played great last year for Tulsa. He got the starting job later in the season. I thought he played pretty good. So I let him know. This doesn't add much to me. This doesn't fit the impact meter. This doesn't hit the impact meter for me. Kirk Francis is very similar to Cooper Lagasse with more upside IMO. And then I wanted to be positive because I was tagging Cooper Lagasse's video. I was retweeting his post. So I understood. I don't want to be disrespectful to the young man and shit on his dreams or anything, but I am indirectly telling him, bro, I don't think you're going to start at that new school. And guess what? When I did this post, the original post, you see these retweets and these likes and stuff? If you go and pay attention to the engagements and you go see the reposts and the likes, it's not here anymore. But that original one, Kirk Francis started following me. Kirk Francis liked it. Look at this right here. Kirk Francis follows me because he knows, hey, that guy believes in me. That guy believes in me. Shout out to him. So I'm just glad I got it right and everybody else got it wrong. Kirk Francis is the starter. Now they say he's going to split time, and I don't care. Officially the starter, like I said he would. I'm RicoKnows. I do this for a living. Shout out to me. All right, I'm going to jump to the chat here for a second, interact with you guys, and then we're going to talk about the Mountain West and Independence tonight. Let me pull it up, the chart. Excuse me. I want to apologize. I want to say something to you guys right now. I have been working really hard today on 2 videos that I made for the MVPs on the games. I had to work till midnight last night on the UFC stuff. It's just a lot. It's a lot to put in a week, and I know next week is going to be 10 times worse because there is football games week 1, and there's 60 games or so. And I want to go see my daughter's volleyball game in Florida next week, so I'm probably going to get on the road, and I might miss some podcasts because I want to go see my daughter play her high school volleyball games. I don't care what you guys say. It's a 7-hour drive. I don't give a shit. I want to be there, and I have the luxury to be there, and I'm going to be there. That's the reality of the situation. So I'm going to jump to the chat, though. If you guys got any questions, comments, shout out to you, TikTok. If you got any questions or comments, move over to YouTube, put it in the chat, and I'll get to you guys. It's all good. Bear with me. Thank you guys for being a part of the show. I'm here for the chat. Let's go. Let's go. Interact. Welcome in. Shout out to Steve. He says, welcome in. Thanks for joining. Hit the like button. And remember, questions today center around the Mountain West Conference and the one school in South Bend. Appreciate you being here. Also, UConn and UMass. Shout out to those independents, but I feel you. Jordan Feldman says, Rico the GOAT. Thank you so much, man. I'm a Billy goat. I'm a male goat. I'm one they use for breeding. This is crazy. I was helping, I wasn't helping. I was doing the unloading on the U-Haul. And while we were unloading the truck, the neighbors, my neighbors have maids. So a group of maids showed up. Babe, was it 3 or 4 of them? 4. It was 4 maids. And they're here to clean the neighbor's house. And the maids come out. They see Ash, my puppy. And they're like, does she want to breed? Is she fixed? They want to start mating with her immediately. They started telling me they had another dog, a boyfriend for her, and all this shit. I was like, bro, what is going on? Like, sign me up, bro. But come on now. You can't just look at my dog and be like, we want to split that thing into pieces. That ain't happening, bro. But shout out to you. Yes, I'm the GOAT. Ash is the GOAT. Kim is the GOAT. Willie Bobo, let's go. Hit that like button. Hey, shout out to Willie Bobo. He's a big high school football fan. And I want to remind everybody, IMG lost last night. IMG lost on a Thursday to Draper Canyon, an all-white school in Utah, bro. A public school in Utah took it to IMG. Now, props to IMG. They scored a touchdown late in the game. They went for 2 for the win, and they didn't get it. So, shout out to them for dying on their sword. But, bro, Draper Canyon is a good team. They just should not be beating IMG. That should not be happening. Modern Day playing Corona Centennial tonight, and next week they play Bishop Gorman. These are some big games. These are some big games that matter. Cool. Oh, and Thompson lost last night. Alabama Thompson, they lost last night to Grayson here in Georgia in overtime. And shout out to Grayson because they lost their first game to Collins Hill. Boom, boom, boom. If you don't know high school football, oh well, I'm just talking. Jordan Carline says, Rico knows, Rico knows. Hey, if your friends don't know, Rico knows. That's what we should. I always say your friends don't know. But it should be if your friends don't know. Rico knows. Yeah, stop asking your friends for shit, bro. I got it. I got it. K Saddy says, we're under 24 hours LFG. For a long time, LFG meant looking for group. If you're a WoW fan, if you're a WoW player, if you play games online, when you used to get in chat and you were looking for other people to join your party to go clear a dungeon, you would write LFG. And then over time, LFG turned into let's effing go. It's pretty crazy, bro. It's pretty crazy. Shout out to you guys. Happy Friday, everybody. There you go. What up, Willie? Cole is at Ohio. Thank you so much. He's at EMU. Bro. Good job, Jordan Feldman. Somebody checked. Somebody looked it up. Somebody looked it up. Thank you so much. South Carolina wins the SEC. Shout out to Jay. Well, in what sport, Jay? South Carolina wins the SEC. In what sport? We talking fucking soccer? We talking field hockey? Water polo? Women's rowing? What do they win the SEC in? Absolute absurdity. RJ Hatton says, no, Eastern Michigan, sorry. I knew it was a green school. Green school, bro. Connor Formia says, Rico, you said you know the teams 10 times better than last season, which is wild because you already knew them better than anyone. So did your analysis change, or can you just allocate more time for football? Oh, Connor, great question. Great question. So yes, I stand by my comment. I know these teams better than I did last season, and yes, I knew that every team better than anyone in America. Okay, so no, we can go bar for bar with me in college football. Like, that's just not realistic, right? There's not a person in the world. Oh, Rico, you're so full of yourself. Find me one person who wants to sit down and go bar for bar on the entire FBS with me. I don't give a shit what it is, bro. It's not happening. So, that being said, last season, there were times when the outcome of games would surprise me. Like, I would make a prediction, and I would miss. Which is fine. Missing happens. But I would be utterly surprised by some misses. So I went back, and I tried to learn, why did that happen? And what I realized is I was too statistical driven. I was almost, I'm not going to say box score driven, but I was statistically driven, meaning I was too skill player heavy. A lot of my analysis was skill players. I would talk about teams in depth wise, all about offensive matchups. And I really didn't have the level of expertise and finite understanding on the offense and defensive lines of all the teams, and the people who don't get a lot of stats, i.e. defensive tackles, some DBs who aren't making tackles, because I'm watching plays and I'm looking at the end result of the play, and I just needed to spend more cycles on this other part and not really study so much like what I know. That'll be an example. So I know certain teams really well, and I know their position groups really well. So I just ignored those I didn't ignore them completely, but I spent a lot less time on those teams, and I addressed the shortcomings, the ones where I'm like, I don't really know what's going on right now. Like right here, I'm like, okay, I know every running back at Tulane right now, but do I know every running back at South Alabama? And I'll be like, oh, wait, what about that? But I know every running back at Jacksonville State. That's how I got to Justice on the depth chart, and I found him, and I thought, man, that kid's special. And I know they brought back 3 running backs. Like, I addressed my shortcomings and what I was missing, and I spent a lot more time on the trenches this year. I really did. And I feel like it's going to pay off. I feel like it's going to pay dividends. There isn't a team I don't know now. I feel really good. And I know I knew them last year. So, yeah, just over time, trial and error, understanding and learning where your shortcomings are. Let me give you an example. Against the spread last season, I was 59% against the spread for the entire college football season. But I was able to get to 65% and above during championship week and the bowl games. And when I say the bowl game, that's 36 games. And with championship week, that's over 40 games of data. And I was able to be even more accurate. And what I learned was the more time you give me to do analysis on these things, I'm dominating. So I need to start a little earlier in the week. I need to put in more effort. And that's what I did. I started this entire offseason. What I did was instead of ranking, remember last year I ranked all the transfer portal classes. I ranked them in the winter. I ranked them in the spring. I did entire episodes on ranking transfer portal classes. I would look at only transfer portal classes and rank them. That's a cool, fun thing to do. It was really, really ingenious of me to do that because there's no niche in the world that does it right. Recruiting websites are trying to tell you about the transfer portal, but they don't know. They're just too busy trying to tell you how they got it right in their evaluations and they got it wrong. So they'll value a 4-star kid who transfers more than a 1,000-yard rusher, right? They value recruiting stars more than production. So I'll see a linebacker who was a team's leading tackler, and you go to the website and they'll tell you this transfer is like terrible. But we know he was a leading tackler on a team on a Saturday. And they'll keep trying to tell us that some 4-star who never got on the field is better. That's the problem with recruiting websites, and that's what made my platform relevant. Is I was able to find a niche on the internet that doesn't exist, which is I'm a transfer portal expert. I know every transfer, and I can tell you everything about them and whether or not they're going to succeed at their new school. That's what I've been doing, and I don't miss. But what I did this offseason is I stopped studying or stopped ranking. I stopped doing playful rankings. Top 25 this, top 10 that, top 10 that. I stopped doing all that crap. And I got focused on rosters. I got focused on spreads. I got focused on projection and talent and evaluation. And that kind of changed the premise of my channel. And it's fine. What did I lose? I lost people watching my videos on TikTok. Pfft, literally nothing. I've made more money in the last 3 days than TikTok could pay me for 3 months. True story. in 3 months of TikTok work, I wouldn't make as much money as I've made in the last 3 days. I think my analysis will pay off. And by the end of football season, we're going to be at a number that people couldn't imagine when it comes to MVPs. Because we're not losing MVPs. We're not losing MVPs. We just keep growing. It's the reality of the situation. It's a blessing, man. So, yeah, thanks for the question, Connor. It was just a reevaluation and reallocation of resources, and the resources time, and then understanding that I needed a different approach. I needed to assess the rosters, not just the transfer portal classes. That doesn't really – I mean, it gets me there, but there are times when I would assess a transfer was going to be great, and then it turns out they didn't even start. Like, that happened to me sometimes. Like, if you look at last year's transfer portal rankings – and you look at the results for 2023, I mean, I had some really, really good hits. Like, I got some shit really right. And then I missed miserably on some. Sometimes I like to look at it just for fun. Maybe I have it. Let me see if I even have it here. I might have it. It might be on another. That's 2024 transfer portal. I had like top transfers or something like that. It might not be on this Excel document. You never know. No, it's not on this one. But it'd be cool to show you guys that. Give me a second here. I'm gonna try to find it. Maybe it's on the locks, but I don't want to pull up locks right now on this show. Oh, do I have locks up somewhere? I do. Oh, hey, we're good. We're good. Give me a second here. I'm gonna go back a little bit. Here we go. So you guys, it doesn't matter if I show you guys this. Yo, you guys can't even see the screen. Oh, awesome. Awesome. Bear with me, guys. I want to show you guys something. So before the season started, I came up with all these charts. I'll show you guys these charts from before the season started. And you guys are going to laugh at some of these charts. Look at this one right here. This is funny. This is me being a little vulnerable and showing you guys the truth. So this chart right here is my top 10 group of 5 quarterbacks from last year. Top 10 group of 5 quarterbacks. Look who I put. I put Frank Harris number 1. Did he have a great year? No. He went from passing for 4,000 yards to having a bad year. Austin Reed, not a good year. Grayson McCall, little underwhelming. Rourke was injured at the beginning of the year, not a great year. Carter Bradley, good year, but not great. Michael Pratt had a good year. Cordero played great. Taylor Green ended up leaving Boise, just straight up leaving and quitting. Seth Hennigan, an amazing year. I had him at 9. And then Mikey Keene had a good year. But those are my top 10. Right? Let's keep going. Let's look here. New coaching hires. How I ranked the new coaches and how they would do. I said Alex Golesh was the worst new coaching hire. This is hilarious. And he went to a bowl game and won everything. He did amazing. Troy Taylor did okay. Barry Odom knocked it out the park, and I had him way down here at 23. I got Biff Poggi right, Kenny Burns right, G.J. Kinney way down here. He did great for Texas State. That's where I rank these dudes, these new coaches. Kenny Dillingham, Trent Dilfer, Eric Morris, I believed in him. Zach Arnett got fired before the end of the year. Should have had him somewhere way down there. Casey Keller had a bad year. Brian Newberry was worse. There's Matt Rule. There's Brent Key. I love Brent Key. Got Tim Beck wrong. There's Coach Sanders. Hugh Freeze, Jamie Chadwell, I believed in wholeheartedly. But look at that. I got the order wrong. This is the one I was talking about. Top 50 transfers from last year. And if you look, Shedeur Sanders was my number 1 transfer. The number 1 transfer in the transfer portal for me was Shedeur Sanders, which is a great get, which is a great pick, great prediction. But Devin Leary, I moved up to number 2 right before the end of the season. I didn't believe in him the entire offseason, and then I moved him up to number 2. I let people talk me into it. There's Plummer, Mordecai, Singer. So these dudes are on the bench. Singer was on the bench. Jeff Sims on the bench. Sean Tyler on the bench, never played. Sam Hartman, terrible. I got it right with Jamari Thrash. Trayshawn Ward shared carries. Carson Still shared carries. Walker wasn't even eligible. Cooper did leave Ball State in rushing, but, you know. Donovan Smith starting quarterback at Houston this year. Hudson Card starting quarterback at Purdue. Blake Watson played great at Memphis. Drake Nugent, good. Zachary Franklin never played at Ole Miss. Sam Jackson lost the job. How many did I get right? It just looked bad. Aiden Robbins ended up losing his starting job to a freshman. Love it. He's going to have impact this year. CJ Williams never played. DeAndre McCray never played. Alton McCaskill barely played. Holstead will be a starter this year, and he did great. There's Keon Coleman, first-round draft pick. Varkey's Gums never played. Nate McCollum got injured, and they didn't let him play. He's going to be a beast this year. Kevin Coleman just transferred. Oh, well. Jaheim Bell played great. Did his thing. Xavier Weaver played great. Didn't play. Got injured. Didn't do much. Never played. Beast of a damn running back. Turned out to be a flop. Got injured. Didn't play. On the depth chart. Never saw the field. Good receiver. I'm going down the list here. Marshawn Lloyd. Did well. Trey Knox did well. Dipree. Okay. Okay. He was the starter. He was the starter. Never played. Tez Johnson, I missed completely. He should have been way up there. Scadaboo, I believed him, but he needed to be even higher. Davis Brin led the country in interceptions. And then who's in my honorable mention? Edrin got injured, never played. Bachmeier played like crap. JT Daniels, Ra Thomas is a criminal. Shedro never made it anywhere. Brian Batty got shot in the head. Shane Hooks never played. Emery Jones didn't work out. Alan Bowman threw for 3,000 yards. Bro, that's just offense. I missed all over the place. And it's because I didn't look at the rosters properly. Now, defensively, I'm really proud of what I did defensively. Nick Jackson is a beast. He's a starter at Iowa again. I don't have any problem with that. Travis Hunter was my number 2. Obviously, he's great. Mason Cobb did his thing. Deshaun McCullough never saw the field. He didn't quite get where he needed to be. Bust and a half on Derek McLennan. Elijah Huzzy, beast. Justin Wright got injured before the season, never played, but he will be a starter this year for Oklahoma State. Absolute monster. Larry Nixon III did not come through the way I needed him to. Neither did Roland Wallace. Patrick Reed Morris is a pro. Devontae Brown lost his starting job at Miami. He's now starting at Florida State. Adari Halsey's an absolute monster, and nobody knew who he was. I put him number 12. This is a transfer from New Mexico. I got it right. Jaheim Thomas led Arkansas in tackles. I got it right. Jacob Roberts, absolute beast at Wake Forest. I got it right. John Sanders Jr., got it right. Evan Williams, drafted, got it right. Josiah Stewart, monster at Michigan, got it right. Mike Smith would have been the leading tackler at Baylor, but got injured. Goodlow, Montgomery, these are good players. Fintrell Cypress, I found the right guys. Anderson played him out of his mind. Jeremiah John Baptiste got drafted. Did a lot better on the defensive side of the ball. A lot better. Maui Goes is still a starter at Miami this year. Fisk got drafted. Ernest Hausman, complete stud. I didn't believe in him like the recruiting websites. So yeah, if you go back and look at last year's results, there's Ahmed Walker, absolute beast. Who saw that coming? SMU, great linebacker. I saw it. I saw it. And then who did I miss? Nobody really. None of these guys. Thank God they were all honorable mention. Tolan's not in football anymore. J.B. Brown might see the field this year at Kansas. Chris Megason done. Jalen Catalon just transferred to UNLV. Parashan still at LSU. Denver Harris now starting at UTSA. Vaughn's been around the world. Koch still at Colorado. And McCutcheon starting at, I think, Houston. There we go. Just wanted to share that with you guys. But enough of that. Let me get back to the chat. Sorry for that long tangent. Interact. Thank you. What up, Sensei Rico? What up, Bendejo? Good to see you, man. K Saddy says, is Bryant not in Rhode Island? Yes, it is. Where did I say it was? I said it was in New York. Oh. Sometimes, man. Sometimes I rhyme slow. Sometimes I rhyme quick. Sometimes I rhyme. Y'all don't know this song. I can't even talk to you guys. You guys ain't cultured like me, bro. Gabe says, a little late. Starting from the beginning now, you learn just as much in Rico's openings as you do during his analysis. Thank you, Gabe. I try, man. I try my best. You know, when I used to do these episodes, this is what I'm talking about. When I say, if you want to be a content creator, you got to learn over time how to captivate an audience. I used to just come in here and just give a bunch of statistical information. I used to just feed you guys, and leave no room for personality, no room for life and normal conversations. You know, I'm so excited that Kim's home now because we can get back to watching Prison Break. We're watching Prison Break together, and I didn't watch a single episode while she was gone, and I'm dying to watch an episode with her. It's like more important to me than sports, but I got so much sports going on. There's not a day we don't have sports. And we got to see our show together. So that kind of stuff, I'm just normal. Rico at 1.75 speed is wild, by the way. Shout out to Steve. So yeah, if you're behind and you got to catch up on the show, you don't just start watching the show where we're at right now. You go back and rewind it. It's a live stream. Go start it over. Put the playback speed at 1.25 speed, 1.5 speed max, and enjoy accordingly. 1.75 speed? Tripping, bro. You won't understand nothing I'm saying. Opinion on Maxwell Harrison? No opinion. Opinion on Upson Stout? No opinion. Great questions, Tank Pot. I don't have an opinion. All righty, Mountain West. Thank you. I thought it's Corner Canyon. What did I say? Draper? Bro, dude, it's been a long day. Also, the High School of New York Jets draft phenom, Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson is amazing. Congratulations. Opinion on Kyrie Jackson. Dead. Thanks for being here, Caleb Wheeler. You do that. You know what, man? You don't even get to do that again. We will never see you again. You're done. We don't like trolls up in here. Salute RicoKnows, new sub to the channel. Shout out to you, Ja'Cory Jackson. Thanks for being here. Why aren't the Army kids on the team in their first year? Oh, Jamar Thurston, pretty cool. So, I will explain this. Army players, if you didn't know this, no service academy can have red shirts. You're not allowed to red shirt. And this is like congressionally mandated. A lot of this has to do with budget constraints and the fact that the service academies were created to produce officers in the Army, period. So Army, the military, has these 3 service academies, if not more, right? We have more, that produce officers for the United States military. And you need to produce officers as fast as possible. We need to pump them out. We need as many as possible because the turnover's there. There's just a lot of things that they're needed. They're needed. Football, or sports in general, is a secondary function of these universities. The primary function of the academies is to produce officers for the military. And it needs to be done in X amount of time. And in a time of war, it'll get expedited in 3 years. So the way it works is if you're going to play football, you don't go to the academy until 1 year of prep school. You go to prep school first. And the prep schools will play a bunch of football. They'll play other teams. They'll lift weights. It's just like redshirting. I think it's actually more beneficial than redshirting because you actually get to play in games against other prep schools. But it's a prep school they all go to, and they lift weights. And then you enroll at the academy, and you can't redshirt. There is something called a turn back year. You can leave school and then turn back and go back and then come back. But it's very rarely used. I saw it used once, like last year or whatever. So after 2 seasons, before you enter your junior year, all service academies, the players, all students, the students have to then commit to their service requirement. Then they have to commit to, are you going to serve in the military? So when you're a freshman and a sophomore, you're not in. You're not sworn in. You don't have to serve. That's why you can transfer out of the academies after, and you'll see most transfers leave after their sophomore year. Those are the people that are choosing not to serve in the military. So they played football there for 2 or 3 years, and then they bounce and they leave. Okay? But the minute you sign that commitment and you're serving, that's it. And they've also said you can't serve or you can't get drafted anymore. Last year was the last year. And this rule will keep flip-flopping over the years. It's changed at least 4 times in my lifetime. But right now, the rule is if you get drafted by a professional league, you must finish your commitment to the government first. You cannot go and become a professional athlete. Now, there was the Jim Thorpe Award winner last year was from Air Force, and he got drafted by the Raiders. So he's in camp right now. He's the last draft pick that's allowed to skip his service to go be an NFL athlete. He's the last one to defer his service. The rule just got rechanged again, and it changes every 4 or 5 years or so. It all depends on who's in charge in the military, who's advocating for this and who's not. But the reality is you are at a service academy, and their job is to produce officers for the Army. They do not care about football in that regard, so there's no redshirting. At the same time, you cannot transfer to a service academy. So we always talk about Clemson doesn't use the service academy or doesn't use the transfer portal. Neither do the service academies. They do not backfill their roster with transfers. Nope. What they do have, and what every school now has, is they did not have a limit on entry limit scholarships. So entry level scholarships are people joining your team from JUCO or from high school. And it was the Houston Nutt rule. If you guys don't know, this rule got created in 2014. Houston Nutt signed, I think, 34 players out of high school. And while at Ole Miss. And the NCAA freaked out. The SEC freaked out. Everybody freaked out and said, oh, my God, they're taking too many players out of high school. We need to limit this. So then the NCAA created a rule and said, we're going to limit it to 25 that you can sign in your recruiting class. And include JUCOs in that. So everybody went out there and started limiting themselves to 25 out of high school. Every recruiting class, the limit was 25. And if you ever saw a number like 26, 27, 28, what that was either 3 preferred walk-ons or players being told to gray shirt. And now this all became public, I think, in 2012, 2014 timeframe, when a young man was going to go to Alabama. And he had already signed his letter of intent. He did his verbal commitment first, and then he was going to do the big press conference. And he got a call from Nick Saban, and Nick Saban said, hey, we need you to gray shirt. And if you gray shirt, that means you don't count against this year's numbers. I'm going to try to explain this without a visual. It gets a little tough, but let me explain. You have 25 players join your team. If you have 28 show up, 3 of them aren't on scholarship. Well, those 3 could be gray shirted. And all gray shirting means is you don't go to practice. You aren't a part of the team. You literally pay your way into school for the first semester. And then you join the team in January of the next year, in the winter semester. And so you miss the whole football season. But the benefits of it for the college was they still got your commitment. You're not going to a rival. And they promised to put you on scholarship the following January. And the way they can do that is if any of those first 25 or anybody on your roster was academically ineligible, medically retired, like injured, they get removed from the 25 limit. So you sign 28, but 3 guys don't make grades. You can then sign those other 3 dudes that you told to gray shirt in January. Oh, by the way, they can then red shirt for another year. And so they might go 2 years on your team before they ever play. And some people need that development. Some people don't want it. Some people are mad. But it was a way of stacking the deck and getting the talent and the depth at these SEC schools that nobody else could ever match. It's why people look at, you still have 5 to play 4 if you're a gray shirt, for sure, the next year. But you're right. You have 5 years to play 4, yeah. But it's more importantly, it's like, this is why when you looked at some of those position group rooms at Miami, at Alabama, you go, whoa, how did they have all those guys on the roster at the same time? It was recruiting was great and everything, but it was the coaching staff manipulating the 25 limit. And the craziest thing happened, they lifted the 25 limit just last year because coaches started complaining, saying, hey, I can't backfill my roster. I'm losing too many players in the transfer portal. I can't backfill my roster. But it's not true. What they want to be able to do is sign an unlimited number of players out of high school, JUCO, and the transfer portal, and they don't want any of it to they don't want to count it. They don't want to have a limited number of seats. They just want the freedom and the autonomy to say, can I create a roster of 85 guys, leave me alone. And now they want to go to 100 and I think 115, 110, 120, whatever it is. They want to lift the contract limit or the scholarship limit, and you can't do that. They want to, they're going to, but you legally can't do that. I need people to understand that when you hear the term Title IX, the verbiage title implies law. The verbiage title, like title is a law. Title IX is a law. It's mandated by Congress. And what it says is you must have an equal number of male and female scholarships. So if you raise football another 20 scholarships as they're proposing, then you got to raise female scholarships another 20. Or remove 20 male scholarships on other sports, whether that be the swim team, the track team, the wrestling team, whatever. But you're going to take away scholarships from other male sports to get those 20, or you're going to add another 20 on the female side. And I think what teams are doing, like the bigger teams, is when they want to raise that limit, they're separating themselves, the men from the boys. Because there are certain universities that cannot afford an additional 40 scholarships. 40 scholarships is a daunting number. And it's not just scholarships. It's facilities. If you're going to have 20 more football players and 20 more female scholarship athletes, you need to have more dorms. You need to have more hotel rooms on the road, more charter flights, more buses, more tutors, more physical therapists, coaches, a number of things that you need to get the resources to support those players. It becomes a really big number at the end of the day. And what it does is it takes all those borderline FBS teams and it makes them incapable of being an FBS team. So then you just say, all right, well then all the Power 4 teams will have 105, and then all the Group of 5 teams will just stay at the 85. Because we know that that's what they can do. And part of that is why they didn't allow JMU to go to a bowl game. I've talked about this in the past. The reason a new team that comes to the FBS can't go to a bowl game or a conference championship game is because they have to prove to the NCAA that they can financially support themselves for up to 3 years at the next echelon of football. So you went from the FCS, where you had 62 scholarship players, and now you're at the FBS with 85. So you have to show that you can handle that influx of 20-something scholarships on the male side and the female side. You're probably looking at 44. It's 63, and so 22 and 22. 22 male scholarships, 22 female scholarships. And so any team that wants to go to FBS has to commit an absorbent amount of money into their athletic department. And they have to be willing to do that without being, not supplemented by bowl games, TV contracts, conference winnings, all kinds of shit. Like, they need to know that you can do it, because what if you went on a drought? What if you didn't make it to a bowl game for 9 years straight? Can you still make it? So in your first 3 years, if you qualify for a bowl game, they're not giving you that money. They don't even let you go to the bowl game, because you got to show that you can do it without that money. It's nonsense. It's crazy. So when I hear the scholarship limit going up, it just frightens me. Sorry for that long tangent. And that all came from why are Army kids on the team in their first year? I just keep going. I'm something else. Jordan Carlin says, hey, Rico, you did exactly what a pro capper told me to do, which is find your biggest wins and losses and discover why. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know about the term pro capper. I'm a pro at whatever I do. I'm getting paid to do what I do. I'm a professional. I don't know what makes somebody say they're a pro capper. There's just some dude out there. Some dude out there talking. They talk smooth, man, and everybody gets blinded by the chains and the watches. I think it's disrespectful to spend your money on bling. Disrespectful to your people. That's how I feel. Your friends don't know, but Nick knows. If a team like UConn doesn't look sharp on week 1, how many weeks do you give a team to essentially figure it out before it's decided that the personnel just isn't there yet? Whoa. David Pithen. Oftentimes, teams aren't performing to the level of expertise or the level of expectation for a number of reasons. It could be new coaching staff. If you have new position coaches and new coordinators, there's going to be growing pains on the staff. They're still trying to learn each other. Your opposition, who are you playing against? The opposition is huge. Getting a starting quarterback after spring football is not advantageous to being great for the season. So that's another thing, right? If you missed spring football and then you showed up, Nick Evers, like that could be a problem. But I don't write anybody off. I keep doing assessments all season long. I keep looking for growth all season long. I think last year I had an epiphany with Virginia halfway through the season. I said, I think Virginia's better than we think. And we started hitting on against the spread on Virginia because Vegas had it wrong and Virginia was better than we think. Sometimes you got to sit down and really assess it. But I think it's all situationally based, and it's all dependent upon who you're playing against and who your leaders are. Who are your leaders on your team? Who's the reason you're succeeding the way you are? Alejandro Villanueva was a dog before the NFL. True story. Only one I can think of off the top of my head. Oh, no, man. There's one on the team right now. There's one on Army right now. Did you talk about UConn Huskies yet? They're gonna beat Maryland by 20. We have a couple of UConn fans. I remember a guy named Bolin and Wyatt Wendry. These guys are the UConn homers of all UConn homers. They're gonna beat Maryland by 20. Once again, in what sport, bro? I just need to know what sport. Are Kyle Williams and Jalen Moss the top targets at their respective schools this year and potentially exceed their outputs of last year? Jordan Feldman, I have no idea, man. Unfortunately, I have no idea. Exceed their outputs. I guess we'll have to do some research. Guess we'll have to look around. I don't know. I apologize. I owe you a better answer. I went to a power conference, and 5 years post-college, they cut out our top sport due to Title IX. And we had recently won the Big 8, Big 12. Our sport was non-revenue generating, for sure. Cal State Northridge. Cal State Northridge was the 1AA school, FCS school, that I was going to go to. In 2001, they cut out football. I don't dwell on it. I don't talk about it much. They cut football in 2001. It hurt my soul. That was the school I wanted to go play for. That was the school I thought I can play there. I think about that all the time. All the time. Probably once a quarter. Probably 4 times a year I think about it. F that shit. All right, let's go talk about Mountain West teams, and I'll get back to the chat. You guys keep putting your questions and comments in the chat, and we'll go from there. Thanks for being here tonight. Shout out to TikTok. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, come on over to YouTube. Drop it in the chat. We'll go. Let's see what's up. All right, we're looking at the Mountain West, y'all. You know what I want to do for you guys? Because it's only one conference tonight, it is Friday. We'll pull up depth charts. I could talk to you guys about the depth charts. So, first team is Fresno State. When I look at Fresno State, let's see if they got this updated. Because last time I saw this, it was not updated. And it kind of bugs me when it's not updated. Oh, they updated it. There they go. These little guys, they updated it. So, first thing I'm going to tell you guys is I'm very high on Fresno State. I've talked to the MVPs about this offseason. I think Fresno State is the top team in the Mountain West. I'm not that sold on Boise State like everybody else. I think Boise State's very one-dimensional. I think Boise State has some holes on their team, a lack of continuity on the coaching staff. And I look at a team like Fresno State, and they just look built for the journey. They really do look great. So when I look at the wide receiver room, you see this guy Cheaton James here? Cheatin' James and Raylan Sharp, they were not on the list just a couple days ago. So when I look at Cheatin' James, these are small guys, little guys. If I tell you they're 5'10", I'm lying. They're 5'8", 5'9" dudes. And just the baddest little dude on the block. Cheatin' James coming out of high school, St. John Bosco, wide receiver, play at one of the top high schools in America. And you don't get an FBS offer. Same thing just happened to Stacey Dobbins this year. Stacey Dobbins one day will transfer back to the FBS. Stacey Dobbins is currently right now at UC Davis. Another running back that's at UC Davis, Carter Vargas. Both of these guys are 3-star dudes, no FBS chances, and they're at UC Davis, and they don't belong there. Shout out to UC Davis for recruiting the guys I believe in. But Cheatin' James goes to Iowa State. Iowa State? No. What the hell is wrong with me? Idaho State. Whew. Goes to Idaho State and balls out. No diddy. Plays great. He plays great. So good. He's back in the FBS, coming back to the West Coast, coming back to California. I think he's special. I think he's hard to deal with. Oh, by the way, all these receivers are back from last year. Magdalena, local kid, speedster. Speedster. Yeah, just speed for days. Fuck, Fafo on Magdalena. Just the slant and I'm gone. Jalen Moss, beast. Raylan Sharp, Missouri State, FCS transfer, another little guy. Came a little later in the process. But it just looks like they got little receivers to go out there and do their thing. Now, I'm so excited that Joshua Wood has moved up the depth chart to number 2. I've been talking about Joshua Wood for 2 years now. Joshua Wood is special. Obviously, Mikey Keene is an alpha dog, an alpha male, and the starting quarterback, and he's great. But that Joshua Wood, I've been on Joshua Wood from the jump ever since I saw him win. Let me tell you guys, the first time I saw Joshua Wood, he threw a Hail Mary to beat Travis Hunter and Sam Horn and Collins Hill in a high school matchup. It was Collins Hill had just won their state title here in Georgia at 7A, and Joshua Wood won the state title in Washington. So they had these two teams play each other, and everybody thought Collins Hill was going to win by some amazing amount because they got Travis Hunter, and Joshua Wood beats him. And from that day forward, I saw that game, and I went, I need to go do research on Joshua Wood, and I've been a fan ever since. He's dealt with some injuries. He's been on the bench. He never gets to play. I still believe in Joshua Wood. And then there's Mikey Keene. So the only thing I'll tell you guys, and I talked about this in my deep dive on Fresno State with the MVPs on the server. When I look at Fresno State, I don't like short quarterbacks and short wide receivers. I think you can't see them. When they run their crossing routes, their slants, their drags, I think you can't see these little slot receivers because you're both short. Like if you were a tall quarterback, you can see the little receivers. If you're a short quarterback, you can see tall receivers. But when you're short and they're short, it's a bad combination. It's a bad combination. So that's the only thing that kind of worries me with Mikey Keene because he is short. But man, that offensive line is one of the very best offensive lines in the group of 5. I think this offensive line is special. It's deep. It's senior Latin. It's experienced. That offensive line is going to maul some people. I'm so excited to see how they do against Michigan. I don't think I have a bet for the game other than I want to watch the trenches and how this offensive line handles Michigan's defensive line. I'm not joking. I need to see it because that's how good this offensive line is. They've been around, man. They're good. And then running back, Malik Sherrod rushed for what, 900 yards last year? 900-something yards? A little over 900? Yeah, you got a 1,000-yard rusher coming back? All your receivers? Found a bunch of little speedsters, little gadget dudes. It's a bad little team, man. Defensively. So, you go to Corona Centennial, you get 3 guys. By the way, if you don't know Corona Centennial, the best public school in California when it comes to high school football. And a couple years ago, they were ranked in the top 10 nationally. And the reason was Gary Barnett was a star wide receiver. He's now at Oregon. They all went to USC, by the way. Tuasibi Nomura went to USC, and Corey Foreman went to USC. So 3 superstar players from one high school all go to USC. None of them pan out at USC. And 2 of them are here. 2 of them are here. By the way, Lightfoot, also Corona Centennial. Devo Bridges is a mother flipping problem. Jacob Holmes is a problem. Baumgart is a problem. Like, they got players, bro. They got depth. Shout out to Jax. Linebackers. DBs. I like this team. My number 1 team in the Mountain West. Fresno State. Number 2 team in the Mountain West. You see it here. Boise State. I have them ranked 74th overall. Compared to the 62 that I gave Fresno State. 74th overall. Boise State. I think they're like my 13th best group of 5 team in America. I'm not that sold on Boise State like everybody else. I made a declaration early on. I felt like Malachi Nelson is not going to start. Or he's not any good. Now Maddox Madsen's going to start. That's cool. It doesn't really matter. Both the running backs are very good. Jambreeze is fast. Shout out to Breezy. Goes by Breezy, by the way. Breezy Dubar and Ashton Genty, obviously a complete stud. Offensive line's okay. It's not great. I gave it a 6 out of 10. It's okay. Remember, 10 is NFL draft picks. 9 is first team all conference in the Power 4. 8's quality players in the Power 4, starters, things like that. 7's are first team, group of 5, second team Power 4s, things like that. 6 is a pretty solid number, if you didn't know. When you hear 6, don't think 60%. Think 6 is a pretty solid number on the offensive line. But it's not elite. And here they are. I don't really believe in this wide receiver room. I know. People have told me up and down, Rico, you're wrong. Camper's good. Chris Marshall, former 5-star with a whole lot of character issues. He was actually arrested right after he left the JUCO and before he got here. I talked about it. People got mad at me. I don't care. I don't believe in this wide receiver room. Defensively, one of the best edge rushers in the power in America. What am I saying? In America. This number 91 here, when you watch him on tape, Hamed Hassanin or whatever his name. Bro, dude is nice. Dude is nice. 91 is real. The rest of the team's fine. It's not that they're not good. I just think Fresno State's better. So, it is what it is. If you go look at the rankings, I really believe in Boise State running back room, pass rush, linebackers, offensive line, kind of in that order. Next team is Colorado State. And Colorado State is built different. I think Colorado State has a chance to have the very best offense in the Mountain West. And that sounds crazy to some people. I don't know if you're not paying attention. I don't know if you don't know the players and the team. But Braden Fowler-Nicolosi was a starting quarterback as a freshman last year. I made a video about him. He was my hidden gem for Colorado State. Got it right. Shout out to me. Shout out to his pops. His dad did invite me to go to the Colorado game with the family. And he said he's got tickets for me. I said, thank you so much, sir. I really hate Colorado fans. I don't want to see them. Actually, they don't want to see me. Let's just be real. But his wide receiver room is amazing. The wide receiver room is real. At least 3 deep. Now, they did lose 2 guys to the transfer portal. One went to Syracuse. One went to San Diego State. Doesn't matter. Dylan Goffney coming over. Big body guy from SMU. Torrey Horton, NFL. Torrey Horton, one of the leading statistical wide receivers this year across the entire country. Like, he's going to have 1,400 yards receiving. And then Donovan Ollie. What a stud. So Donovan Ollie coming in from Cincinnati. He didn't really play there. He actually is from Washington State. Is Donovan Ollie 6'6"? I swear he's 6'5", 6'6". Maybe I'm wrong. 6'3". Bro, I don't like exaggerating. On tape, he looks enormous. Dick's enormous. This man is huge. He's 6'3", apparently. He's just a big guy. He uses his body well. He's a good wide receiver. Powerful. It's kind of special, man. I think that people are underestimating what they're doing here. They also got a transfer from Baylor. Don't see him here. Doesn't matter. Offensive line, okay. Running back room, special. Redshirt freshman Justin Marshall. I believe he's the first guy in like 20 years to rush for 100 yards in his season opener. He didn't start in the running back room till the last 3 games of the season, and he went for over 100 yards every single game. Justin Marshall is nice. That's a special good running back nobody's talking about. Probably, I think he has the potential to be the second best running back in the conference. I don't know. I really like him. He's got a lot of potential. Defensively, defensive line, soft as baby shit. Like, I don't know about their defensive line. Obviously, losing Kamara to the draft hurts. Linebackers, they're fine. They look like linebackers. They look fine on tape. Nothing too great. Defensive back, studs. Everybody, these guys are back. These 2 white dudes, Jack Howell, Henry Blackburn. Here's the problem. They led the team in tackles. We're talking like 80-something or more tackles, maybe even 100. I don't remember. They led the team in tackles. You cannot have safeties leading your team in tackles. You just can't. Okay? So that's a problem there. But shout out to Colorado State. Like I said, one of the best offenses in America. Next is Wyoming. I don't need to pull up their depth chart. I can just tell you that Harrison Whaley's injured right now, so that hurts their running back room is actually pretty good. They have a solid offensive line. I love their defense, their front seven. Their front seven looks mean. Within the Mountain West, you're going to be hard-pressed to find a better defensive line. They got 2 big defensive tackles that are the bee's knees. I'm talking, like, if you got the highest number in the conference, that means I think that position group's going to have an all-conference guy. First team. That's how I feel about Wyoming. First team all-conference defensive tackle. Some guys that are going to be there at linebacker, defensive end, and safety. Like Wyoming. Utah State, lose your head coach before the season. Still have some of the most amazing wide receivers in the conference. I'm with you. Lost 2 quarterbacks to the transfer portal. It's a damn shame. Defensively, they look really solid. So I hope they're competitive. Washington State, I added them to this list, and Oregon State. And I know you guys are probably thinking, Rico, you're crazy. These teams are way better than the teams in the Mountain West. No, they are not. The cupboard is bare at Oregon State for sure. Everybody left. Coach left. Everybody left. Oregon State looks bad. They got rated for everything. And Washington State just looks a little bit better because I believe in their quarterback play. Here's Hawaii. Hawaii. Shout out to Hawaii. Starting quarterback, returning, 3,000-yard passer. Under Timmy Chang, who's one of the all-time great quarterbacks in college football history. If you don't remember Hawaii being great under June Jones, I'm sorry you missed it. It was amazing. Run and shoot for real. This is before Colt Brennan. So Timmy Chang is him. He's now the head coach there, and he's building something great, I'd hope. He's keeping kids on the island, and he's got good wide receivers. All his wide receivers are back. Now, the only problem with the season opener, they're playing Delaware State. I've already told the MVPs. For me, it's a lock. I really believe in Hawaii, and I really believe Delaware State sucks. But his star wide receiver, Stephen McBride, just got arrested before, 2 weeks ago. He's back on the roster, but he's not on the depth chart for week 0. So I think he's not going to play in week 0, but he's back on the team. So that's problematic. But they got all their other receivers returning from last year, literally all of them. And they have a stud breakout receiver who I was surprised stayed at Hawaii. Okay, I can't pronounce the name. It starts with a P. I'm bad with these. What should I call them? Pacific Islander names? I was going to say ethnic. But this man right here. Pofley Ashlock. Pofley Ashlock. Absolute stud. Absolute stud last year. Curtis Spencer just transferred in from Nevada. He's a former slot receiver. He's a former walk-on at Oregon. I like his game. I really do. But you notice they don't have their star receiver on the list at all, on the depth chart. Just not there. But Schrager's a beast. They'll figure it out. Let them figure it out. Defensive line is soft to me. They didn't look good. They got much better guys on the back end. Really good players. But a lot of these receivers were like all state, the best receiver in the state, all kinds of shit. And they have really good high school football in Hawaii, if you didn't know. If Hawaii could figure out how to keep everybody on the island, they'd be dominating, because the top 10 players in Hawaii always leave the island and go play for other schools. If they just stayed on the island, oh my goodness, Hawaii, they would have linemen. They would have vicious hitters everywhere. They would be amazing. But they keep going to Utah, Oregon, Michigan. They're going anywhere. And Washington, you look at Washington and just look at it. BYU, It's everywhere but Hawaii. It sucks. San Diego State. New head coach and Sean Lewis just had their starting running back get injured. He's going to be out for a while. Sean Lewis, they are starting a true freshman quarterback. Danny O'Neal, he won the starting job. Congratulations. I think they have some sneaky good wide receivers, sneaky good running back room. Marquez Cooper just transferred in there, so they should be okay. He's a former 1,200-yard rusher in the MAC at Kent State back-to-back years. Offensive line's fine, but they lost 3 good offensive linemen in the portal, 1 to Florida, and then 2 others. They lost their leader on defense and linebacker. They lost some pieces. They got to figure it out. But it's San Diego, bro. You can find athletes in San Diego. They should be relevant soon, I would hope. I already told you Oregon State's cupboard is bare, and if you want to know who's even more bare, it's San Jose State. They lost a lot of guys. Love their coach, love what they're building, but my goodness, it looks bad. They're getting 1 receiver back from injury. He missed all last year, team's leading receiver. I'm excited about him. We'll see what happens. Defensively, kept their defensive tackles on point. Lose your star defensive end to Arizona. He followed the coaching staff and left. The rest is okay. Nevada, they got a game coming up. I know Nevada well. I already did a video on them for 30 minutes today. I'm tired of talking about them. What I will say is Nevada has a special linebacker that I really like on tape. You'll see him. He's their middle linebacker. Is he number 7 or number 1? I don't remember, but he's a beast. Just you'll notice as soon as you watch the game. You're going to see them tomorrow. They're playing SMU, and you should see some guys try to play. You should see some good stuff, I hope. I want to tell you Nevada's offensive line is pretty solid. That very few teams impress me or exceed my expectations. Nevada's one of them. They exceeded my expectations when I saw them on tape, the offensive line specifically. New Mexico, worst offensive line in America. I wish I could give them lower than a 1. I probably should give them like a 0.1 or something. It looks like a bad offensive line. They open up the season against Montana State. They're already underdogs by like 13.5 points. I think the line opened at 9 or 8. I told MVPs it's a lock. Montana State's going to beat the hell out of them, and I really feel this way. New Mexico just looks bad. They do have a good wide receiver. Shout out to Caleb Medford, TCU transfer. He's a big-body kid. Air Force, I don't know how good they're going to be. They got 1s everywhere. I don't know how good they're going to be. Their number will adjust throughout the season. Obviously, this chart will change over time depending on how people perform during the week, but it doesn't look good. They don't have a lot of returning production. I think they're the worst team in America in returning production, but they probably got a ton of studs we don't know about. I know when I looked at their defense, Jack Curtis stuck out immediately. Defensive end, Curtis, last name, grandfather played for the Packers, was amazing. And I just started looking at the team, and I'm going, okay, they got athletes. We just don't know them. It's hard to assess them if I've never seen them on the field. Most of their guys have never been on the field in college. So we'll see what Air Force does. They're not going to be the worst team in the Mountain West. Remember, this is my assessment of talent, not my prediction on win-loss totals. Not at all. I'll go down and do these independents, and then we'll go to the chat, and we'll wrap it up tonight because I do want to watch some fights tonight, but I want to talk to you guys. So if you have more questions or comments, go ahead and put it there. Where is UNLV? Holy smokes, I deleted them. That's not cool. Yo, hold on, man. I have a master list. Give me a second here. UNLV. That's crazy, Rico. Give me a second. UNLV's 56. Whew. UNLV's 56. Thank you guys, man. Sometimes things go right, sometimes things go wrong. 56. UNLV number 1? Yo, am I tripping? My bad. You guys do not need to see me making the sausage here. That's never good. Never want to see that. Oh, man. UNLV. That's on me. That's on me. All right, so let me talk about UNLV real quick. For whatever reason, they're not. centered. All right, we're good to go here. So, UNLV apparently is the number one team in the conference, according to percentages. I did not pick them to win the conference. UNLV quarterback, Matthew Sluka, complete monster. Coming out of Holy Cross, back-to-back 1,200-yard rusher. I really like him. Running backs, Jet is at running back. He's a young kid, came out of Westlake High School here in Georgia. He's a good player, but to see him be the star running back concerns me. I know they have other good running backs on the roster. I know they do because I've seen a couple of them that are on the bench that aren't starting that I really believe in. There's a kid out of Kansas. He's not even on the depth chart, but I was watching his huddle tape and then watching him. I was watching the highlights from the spring like practice sessions and stuff, and I just saw this kid and I was like, who the hell's that? So yeah, there's a kid in Kansas that's legit. I'm forgetting his name right now. If I see it, I'll know. It's like Dylan Jones. Something like that. He's a beast. Wide receivers at UNLV. Obviously, Ricky White is the truth. I watched Ricky play in high school here in Georgia. He went to Marietta. All-time great team at Marietta, led by Eric Gilbert, who's now a criminal. But Eric Gilbert was the 5-star Gatorade Player of the Year. They had a number of great players. Harrison Barnes was the quarterback. They had a tremendous team at Marietta. The running back was what's his face at Troy last year? Kamani James. Kamani. What the hell is wrong with me? Kamani Vidal. What the hell? Holy smokes. Anyways, so I'm watching this all-time great high school team, multiple games, and I keep going, that Ricky White's special. That Ricky White's everything. And he goes up to Michigan State as a 3-star because the recruiting websites don't know what they're doing. And he's up there, and obviously he couldn't get on the field. There's a kid named Jaden Reed taking up some of the spots. And, Jaden Reed's in the NFL now. So Ricky White jumps in the transfer portal, goes all the way to UNLV, convinces his quarterback, high school quarterback, transfer there with him because he just left Tennessee. They all go to UNLV. Now they're there. UNLV gets a new coach from the SEC, Barry Odom. Makes them great, get a new offensive coordinator who's a beast, brings in the go-go offense, and they just start putting up crazy numbers. And I'm convinced Ricky White is still one of the very best wide receivers in America. Love him to death, love him to death, love him to death. Shout out to him. And they got De Jesus, just a little badass dude. Trust, UNLV is going to be open. And if they're not, Matthew Sluka is running with the rock. There's other quarterbacks, by the way, that showed up in the transfer portal. Offensive line's okay. Defensively, lost some players to the transfer portal. Teams were trying to take some of their players, but they went out and found, I'm not going to say they found used baggage. They found good players in the transfer portal that are somewhat, not failures, but they feel like cast-offs. It almost feels like the guys that Arkansas signs in the transfer portal. And I'm not just saying that because Jalen Catalon came over, who was a starting safety for Arkansas. But they also signed Tony Grimes, who former 5-star, former All-Conference ACC, who just left A&M, Texas A&M, but was formerly at North Carolina. When you sign people like this, I want them to be great. But you never know, man. These guys are like individuals, freelance. It almost feels like the 2000 Redskins, a bunch of free agents coming together, and everybody thinks they're going to win it all. And then you're like, they didn't quite gel together. I hope they figure it out. UNLV had to go out and find some pieces and pick up the pieces after getting raided by the transfer portal from some of their players. But for the most part, it looks like a pretty good team. I'm a big Matthew Sluka guy. He just doesn't throw it as well as I need him to. But how well do you need to throw it? Get it to Ricky, bro. Get it to Ricky! Like Boys in the Hood said, Ricky! You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's UNLV. I apologize. They weren't on the list to start for the whole breakdown. Wild. All right. I'll leave this up. Oh, well, you won't be able to see it. I'm going to go to the chat. But thank you guys for being here tonight. Let's go to the chat and wrap up the show. Let me try to... Oh, we got a new MVP! Shout out to you, man. Where are we? It says, Nicholas Blyson says, I was talking that was in college at Army and did his 4 active years. Oh, yeah. That's what you meant. Was in college at Army, went and did his 4 years of service, and then went on to the NFL. Yeah, shout out to you, Nick. My bad. Where's UNLV? Frankie Cruz! UNLV is in Las Vegas, bro. That's where it's located. Warren Wilkins. Welcome, baby. Welcome to the family. Love it. He's got a blue badge. He's been doing this for a minute. Shout out to Warren Wilkins, a new MVP. Congratulations, man. Oh, Dixie Normus. Don't forget about Barry McCoggin. Hey, let me tell you guys something. Shout out to Nick Blystone. In the Army, I was a platoon sergeant. I had to call out, I had to do mail call. And there was this guy, and his first name, I don't remember. But his last name was Hunt. And I changed his first name to Mike. And I'm telling you right now, every time the mail call came, I'm on a pad with 300 soldiers, and I'm screaming out, Mike Hunt, Mike Hunt. Just screaming out, Mike Hunt, Mike Hunt. And the kid's going, that's not my name, Sergeant. That's not my name. I said, are you here? Are you going to get your mail or not? And I'm throwing it, Mike Hunt. True story. Shout out to him. What's up, Rico? Just renewed my MVP here to soak the information in and win some money. Shout out to you, Warren Wilkins. I hope you soak it all, brother. I hope you soak it all and win it all. Mr. Rico, how do you have Notre Dame's running back room at a 6, but are on your top 5 for running back room? I don't know when I did my top 5 for running back room. I don't know what list you saw. You saw that recently? There's no way Notre Dame's in my top 5 for running back rooms. Literally zero chance. Love, pain, dude's injured. Nah, bro. Notre Dame is not in my top 5 for running back rooms. They're not in my top 20 for running back rooms. It's just a bunch of kids with potential. Hey, get your homer ass out of here, bro. We don't talk about that shit. Notre Dame's running back room? Holy smokes. Put them in a conference. They ain't top 5 in any conference. Literally any conference. You put Notre Dame's running back room in any conference, I don't think they're top 5 in any conference. Let alone America. I'll find it. How old was it, bro? How old was it, Nicholas Blystone? Was it last year? Top 5. Tripping, bro. Tripping. Thanks, Rico. Y'all have a great weekend. Looking forward to the next 20 weeks. Don't remind me. This week was tough, and it's going to get harder. Pause. Boise loses to Georgia Southern. Wyatt Wendy, you're out here swinging for the fences. I love it, man. I would say that game intrigues me a lot in week 1. I want to see how well they perform, but it wouldn't surprise me if Boise lost to Georgia Southern. It wouldn't surprise me. I don't necessarily know if I'm putting my money on it or I'm advising people to put their money on it, but it sounds like a plausible outcome. I have UNLV under, and I am regretting it. I need Houston and Syracuse to come through for me. So, Wyatt Windry, Houston is not going to come through for you, but I believe Syracuse can beat them. Syracuse is actually a really good team. Syracuse is a sneaky good team. College football season is here. Blunts on Paper podcast. Shout out to Blunts on Paper podcast. One of my former football players. You know how people say, Rico, you never coached. That's one of my players right there. Blunts or Paper podcast. He's actually an adult now. He's like in his 30s, I believe. But that's one of my former players. True story. Shout out to DJ. He was a quarterback and a beast of a quarterback. He looked like that Doucette quarterback from the flag football team. That's what DJ looked like. He could run the rock. I don't need him to throw much. I just need him to run. That man can run. Finally made it to a live this week. How we doing, everyone? Evan Kramer! Bro, I've been giving you shout-outs every single episode like I thought you were here. Boys in the Hood, one of my favorites. Not one of my favorites, bro. I can't stand Boys in the Hood for one reason and one reason only. I am tired of seeing Cuba Gooding Jr. cry in every movie. Every movie Cuba Gooding Jr. is in, Cookie starts crying for no reason. I cannot have that dude crying. Stop it. And he didn't get laid, bro. He lied to his dad. He's a virgin. I'll find it. Shout out to you, Nick. I appreciate you. Coach, I'm an MVP. Why is my badge a different color? Blunts, you're an MVP on Patreon, not YouTube. So if you're an MVP on Patreon, you got no badge. If you're an MVP if you're an MVP on YouTube, you have a badge. Patreon, nothing showed in here. Willie Bobo says, this is where all the MVPs hang out with my man RicoKnows. Pause. All right, you misused the pause there, Willie Bobo. Pause is whenever you make a reference to something that could be a sexual innuendo. For example, I said it gets hard. You have to say pause at that point, because if I said something got hard, it could be an erection of some sort. You know, if you say I was coming from behind, pause. Pause. Stuff like that, bro. Anyways, just saying you're hanging out in the channel is not a pause moment. Ugh. Anyways, Nicholas Blystone says, this year, bro, I don't believe you. Boise look ahead to Oregon. Never that. Fact. Blunts of Paper podcast saying fact. Michael Feely says your top 12: Georgia, Ohio, Oregon, Texas, Missouri, Arizona, Michigan, UM. Who's UM and Mich? Missouri, Bama, Mizzou. Who's UM? Mississippi, Ole Miss, Kent, Kentucky, Oklahoma State. Very odd. Michael Feely, my top 12 is not very odd because it has nothing to do with anything you're accustomed to. My top 12 has to do with talent in position groups. That is an evaluation of talents in position groups. That is not an evaluation of how people are going to finish the season with wins. That is not the teams that I think is going to win against one another. You have it just, your inability to understand what the rankings are leaves you feeling like it's odd. It would be odd if it was anything else. It would be odd if it was anything else. I'm evaluating talent. If you want to know the win totals, I wouldn't give that away for free. I wouldn't put these guys in order by how many games I think they're going to win this year and where I think they're going to finish in the rankings. I would never do that for free. I sell that to MVPs. There are people out there that paid good money for my win totals videos. And you want me to come out here and come out with the top 25 of who I think the top 25 teams are in America and how they're going to finish in the polls. And Rico, who's going to make the playoffs? I made a video where I tell everybody who's going to make the playoffs. The teams I have making the playoffs, and I'm telling you to bet on to make the playoffs, I can't go out there and put them on a list, bro. Then I gave away the list for free. It's the wrong business model, buddy. Shout out to you. Thanks for being here tonight, guys. I am sorry I wasn't prepared for the show at the very start. We had a lot of stuff going on over here, like I said, helping Kim move in all of her belongings and making sure that everything went right. I just want to thank you guys for supporting the channel like you do, even on a Friday night. I know you could be anywhere else. I really do. And I appreciate you guys for being here with me. Remember, I'm going to be live streaming on the Discord server here shortly for the PFL fights if I don't feel like taking a break. And we're going to hang out and make some money tonight. So please show up if you're an MVP. Everybody else, stay with it. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Live streaming at 09 for the MVPs. Peace.